Purple UFOs and the Path of the Skinwalker. Let's talk about episode 5 of season 4 of The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. Get in here, this is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like, please subscribe, share on social media, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Okay, reading from my notes. Since they weren't able to excavate last time, they tried to dig up part of the ridge to get to the weird vertical structure that they found. That was like the whole height of the ridge, which is really intriguing. I mean, it seems like a very large structure. I would love to know what it is. But unfortunately, they had problems with a potential avalanche of boulders, and they had to kind of curtail their excavations of the ridge, which is very lame. Surely there's a way to get under there and to dig that thing up. But alas, that's not what they're going to do. So they are bringing in the drill guy again, the guy that found that weird dome thing and was able to scrape off some flakes of it. And so they have brought him out again to this time look at the big vertical structure that may or may not be part of the same dome that they found before. So they're doing that, and that's going to take a while. It's going to be a multi-episode thing because it takes a while to do that. While they're drilling, ranch managers Tom and Candace interview a couple of local Utes. If you experienced something, you kept it to yourself because you didn't want to be shunned, one of those guys say, which is really interesting. I'm fascinated by the local lore and mythology around the Skinwalker Ranch and the Uinta Basin. They have been interacting with this phenomenon for a long time, a lot longer than, Western civilization has. And they might know something about it. So I'm really fascinated to see what they have to say. And they said some really interesting stuff. So, one thing obviously is that, their people will shun them if they, talk about seeing this stuff, which is unfortunate because how can you get to the truth of it if you can't even talk about it? So, although they may have been interacting with it for a long time and may know some stuff, what they know is going to be crippled by the fact that they won't allow themselves to talk about it, which is really unfortunate. But he did say that the investigation of the Skinwalker Ranch crew into the ranch is opening a lot of doors. And people were starting to open up and be more forthcoming now that this investigation is ongoing. So, hopefully we'll get some more juicy stuff coming out. But there was some really juicy stuff in this interview with those two gentlemen. And this interview is conducted by Tom and Candace, the ranch managers. This was a really, really intriguing thing that they said. They said that the Skinwalkers would use paths to get from one place to another, and many would converge at Skinwalker Ranch. And I thought that was really fascinating. It explains why the Uinta Basin is such a hotbed in general, but why that ranch itself is a particular hotbed. I was really intrigued also by when he said the Skinwalkers would take certain paths and they moved along certain areas. Why? Are those, ley lines? What's the deal? But it also corroborates what George Knapp, James Latatsky, and Colm Kelleher said in the book Skinwalkers at the Pentagon, where they dropped this really juicy bomb that they had so many sightings of the Skinwalker in that area that they were actually able to track migratory patterns of the Skinwalker. I found that super fascinating and super frustrated when they didn't follow up on that. They didn't give any additional details. I mean, nothing. They just dropped that bomb. Yeah, we can track migratory patterns of Skinwalkers. Next subject. No. Dive into that, please. What direction? How many skinwalkers? What's the idea? What's the theory? Why are they doing that? Migration. That sounds like a natural phenomenon of a herd of animals. But what these gentlemen were saying really corroborates that a lot. That indeed these beings, whatever they are, move along certain paths. And that's just the way it is for whatever reason. Maybe they're energy lines. I don't know, but I thought that was actually the juiciest nugget to come out of this entire episode. And I really want to learn more about what the Utes know and believe and what their interactions are. So when he says this investigation is opening up some doors, I really hope that's the truth, and that we do get more information coming out of these people who have interacted with this phenomenon for a long time. And it also kind of made me wonder, let's get to his sighting, and then I'll talk about that. Because one of the Utes, says he actually saw the Skinwalker one time. It looked human, but it was also feline, and it crawled on all fours. When he came across it, it was in a road, and it looked startled to see him, and it moved away from him. But just I wanted to touch on the nature of skinwalkers. What are they? We see the giant wolf repeated sightings of that over the years at Skinwalker Ranch. We see the dogmen and the wolfmen, the werewolves, all seeming to just be the same thing. What's really interesting about the werewolves, the wolfmen, is that they could travel far from the ranch, or materialize perhaps far from the ranch, as in the case of Jay Stratton and his family, who were haunted by a werewolf or multiple werewolves for some period of time. And the whole family saw it, and other people in their orbit saw it as well. So, what's the deal? What is that? Is that the Skinwalker? Is that the phenomenon manifesting itself in some other way to provoke a fear reaction? If there are Skinwalkers that move along certain paths and seem to avoid being seen, that seems to indicate that they are particular beings. It is not simply the ranch manifesting in a way to interact with our consciousness, as much as it is beings doing their thing and us coming across it. Are we seeing actual skinwalkers, or humans that can change shape because they are evil sorcerers, according to the lore, the Native American lore? Or is that a way to express something or rationalize something that is more alien, perhaps, or ultra-terrestrial or other dimensional, whatever you want to call it? We need to get to the bottom of what skinwalkers are. There needs to be a full-on investigation into skinwalkers wherever they are seen throughout the world. We know about it from Native American lore, but it's not just seen on Skinwalker Ranch or in the Uintah Basin. Skinwalkers have been seen in America for a while, and we need to understand what that is. That could be a huge clue as to what the phenomenon is. So, are we dealing with ultra-terrestrials? What are we dealing with? Also, the anomalous nature of these beings, how they can change shape and appear to be one thing and then another thing, and makes me consider UFOs in a different light. Just throwing this out there, but could UFOs, some of them, be skinwalkers or related to the skinwalker phenomenon? This, these anomalous, wibbly wobbly, things that people are seeing in the sky. They can do all sorts of fantastic things. Are they skinwalkers? Or is that the same phenomenon? Just throwing that out there. I think some of them are likely to be nuts and bolts craft from another planet in our reality, but some of them seem to be from elsewhere and are doing something completely different. So, yeah, so I think that needs to be a point of study, not just for the team at the Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, but just in general. I think ufology needs to focus in part on skinwalkers and what they are, because they seem to be a real thing. And, are they evil shamans that can change shape according to the lore? I don't know, but I have a personal experience with shamanic magic, and my life has been changed because of it. I know the reality of this, magic, whatever it is. I don't know what it is, but I know it's real. So I take the idea of the literal lore of skinwalkers more seriously now, but it could also be a way to rationalize something even more complicated. So I really think that we need to focus on that. So moving on, the Utes, at another time they saw lights that moved toward them, and they became nauseous and had headaches, which dovetails with a lot of the orb sightings in that area. Once they got home, however, they got better and went on with their lives. But the Utes said that when you see something like that, you stay away because things attach to our spirits and bodies. Doesn't that sound an awful lot like the hitchhiker effect? So the Utes knew about the hitchhiker effect long ago. I mean, God knows how long they have known about this, aspect of the phenomenon. Have they been dealing with it for hundreds of years? We really need to know more about what they know. I think that's important. So, cut to a new experiment. Cut away from the interview with the Utes. That's over. They bring a fellow named David Mason out to the ranch, and he has some fancy equipment, and they're going to see if they can stimulate a response over the triangle and then examine it with that equipment. Because last time, or a couple of episodes ago, they were able to send rockets up and stimulate some activity, and they even caught some weird blobby anomalous thing in the sky about 30 feet in the air right where the rocket exploded. Did that blobby thing cause the explosion? Who knows? Is that the phenomenon itself caught on camera? Who knows? At the same time, there was a UFO that was seen, and that at the exact moment. So it could have been the UFO that caused the rocket to explode. Who knows? But they are trying to get to the bottom of it. So they have this fancy light wave transmitter, and they're going to transmit the 1.6 gigahertz frequency on David Mason's light wave transmitter over the triangle while launching rockets and mortars. The mortar worked on the first round, but the rocket failed, which is all too typical at Skinwalker Ranch, stuff malfunctioning. They try the second rocket. It fails too, and they're starting to see that the ranch is messing with them. However, the third rocket works. As they're preparing the fourth rocket, Thomas Winterton sees a purple light in the distance. It's the same area, interestingly, where the Utes saw the orbs that made them nauseous. So are these the orbs that people keep on seeing at Skinwalker Ranch? They launch the fourth rocket, and they get another purple flash to the south, this time on camera. So what is that? Is that a paranormal alien? Is that some sort of government surveillance or interference? What is that purple flash? So Tom, and Candace drive out there into the wilderness to see what's going on. Travis sees a UFO with his night vision, and it's right over where Thomas Winterton is, and almost seems to be following him. He can't tell what color it is. He can't tell if it's the same purple thing because he's looking at it through his night vision camera. And as he says, everything appears to be green. So not super helpful, but they were able to see this object. And they think, well, wow, there's some crazy stuff going on here, so let's launch another rocket and see what happens. But the ranch is not that obliging, of course. It doesn't want to be predictable. So it does nothing for the final rocket, and they call it a night. However, they have some data to analyze now. They have that cool gizmo that David Mason brought out, and they were able to send up a couple of rockets, at least, with those instruments trained on that area. So we'll have to wait until the next episode to see if they actually picked anything up. So hopefully we'll get something juicy from that fancy equipment. We'll see. And they did tease a little bit about what happens next time. Oh yeah, I glossed over this one little scene where Dragon and Caleb went up to the ridge, and they tried to find that same cave where they found that weird metallic thing last time. And they weren't able to get it, but they were able to see that it didn't seem to belong. I don't think they found that cave, but they found another cave. And this one also had some strange features. It had some weird pink stone or something inside it. And they got some of it, and they're trying to analyze it. And the teaser for next time is the material in the cave is elemental selenium, which Travis says is used for cloaking devices. Now, this is probably something that occurs in nature. Maybe it just occurred there naturally, but that is really interesting, right? So, we'll see where it goes, but a really good episode of Skinwalker Ranch. And I am even more fascinated by Ute mythology and Native American mythology, and what all that means, and how it relates to the bigger picture. Because clearly this is all connected. We've got, supernatural stuff occurring at the ranch. We've got UFOs, cattle mutilations. That's why I love Skinwalker Ranch. It is the real life Twilight Zone, but it is also where so many threads of what I call the greater phenomenon come together. And I don't, when I say the phenomenon, I'm often referring to the greater phenomenon, which is everything from UFOs to Bigfoot to near-death experiences to, the supernatural, everything, all thrown in together. To me, there is a much bigger picture going on, and all these elements of it are just parts of a much larger picture. But at Skinwalker Ranch, a lot of these elements come together. So it's a great place to study. I can't wait to see what they come up with. Anyway, those are my thoughts for this latest episode of Skinwalker Ranch. If you've enjoyed my overview, please give me a big thumbs up. I would appreciate it. That'd be awesome. Smash the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. And join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. I would love to see you there. And if you wanted to share this video when it dropped on social media, that would be super helpful. There's plenty of other videos for you to check out on my channel. Until next time, this is Jack with Cosmic Roads, signing out.